I wanted to bring today's episode to the podcast. We are celebrating a milestone on Get Pregnant Naturally. When this goes live, we would have hit over 1 million downloads. Thanks so much for listening. For the last 6 years, I've been doing this podcast. And so thankful that you are here and want to learn more about functional medicine and functional nutrition, how this can help improve your chances, especially if you have low AMH and or high FSH. Today's episode is a wrap up of all the top episodes for 2023 and really what you need to know to improve your chances of pregnancy success in 2024. We're going to be giving snippets from each of the top episodes and how this can help you improve pregnancy success. Let's go. Okay, so today we are talking about my 10 top favorite episodes for 2023. So I've been recording this podcast, Get Pregnant Naturally, for 6 years. As of January the 1st, it'll be 6 years. I don't know where the time has gone. I'm recording this right now as of December 13th. And so far we've got about 990,000 downloads. So we should, by the time this releases, beginning of January, have hit 1 million. Woohoo! So thank you so much for listening. I'm glad you're here. And we're doing the 2023 recap. And really, so you can improve your chances of pregnancy success for 2024. I'm wrapping up our favorite episodes here. So the first one we're going to start with is the biggest diet mistakes with low AMH and or high FSH and how to improve pregnancy success. This episode talks about those generalized recommendations. Everyone's reading It Starts with the Egg. Definitely check out my episode, What to Do Next After Reading It Starts with the Egg. But some of those can be, okay, but they're all generalized recommendations. Are they right for your body? And sometimes we second guess taking out some of the top allergens. We think that, it didn't cause any issues in our body. So our biggest thing is to do the elimination diet. Here we are in January. Just rip off the Band-Aid and make it happen. And so there's some episodes there where I talk about exactly how to do that. But basically it's taking out the top allergens: dairy, gluten, soy, corn, peanuts, and eggs, and processed sugar and alcohol. 10 days, systematically reintroduce over the course of 30 days. And the fertility preparation bundle actually will take you through the exact steps of that. There's a meal plan, a grocery shopping list, and also if you're in the States too, it'll include some supplements that can be shipped to you. So it includes our Fab Fertile, so our Fab for Life Naturals prenatal. So it's a methylfolate prenatal. It includes, as many times people are taking folic acid, that's a synthetic form of folate, and you do not want to be taking that because if you have the MTHFR gene variant mutation, which over 80% of us have, you won't be able to assimilate the vitamins properly. And we see that a lot with people with low AMH or high FSH, especially if you experience miscarriage. I've done many episodes on MTHFR, so you can check those out. But with the bundle, it has the methylfolate prenatal, it has a CoQ10, which is important for egg and sperm health, and also vitamin D3, K2. And so that bundle will take you through the exact steps. Use the code LAUNCH, LAUNCH15 to save 15% off of that. But essentially just rip off the Band-Aid. It's the new year. This is not about you starving and drinking green juice. It's having, organic poultry, wild caught fish, grass-fed meat, do half the plate veggies, and then you can do rice or potatoes or sweet potatoes, depending on your glucose issues. There's tons of recipes in there. It'll tell you exactly how to do it. There's an FAQ. So that's where we say the biggest mistakes, where people just be like, well, I did the egg diet, I did the Whole30, or I did the keto, or I did the carnivore, I'm vegan. Those diets may have worked for someone, but are they right for you? And sometimes we get married to a specific diet. So we encourage you to have an open mind. We're never going to force anyone to eat protein. So if you're like, wow, I just love eating more plant-based, but then we can look at your blood chem, looking at your blood work do you have low protein? Many times we're seeing stomach issues like stomach acid issues where your body's not absorbing the protein. So we can, work on that as well. But the biggest mistakes with low AMH and or high FSH and how to improve pregnancy success. And so listen to that episode. And the biggest one is to start the elimination diet. Okay. And so the next one we have is, okay, so the next one is why your gut microbiome matters when you have low AMH and or high FSH. So this one, we did a deep dive into the GI map, which is our favorite stool test. Many times you can be told things are normal, but are they optimal? And this is looking for fungal infections, bacteria, parasites, H. pylori, which lowers your stomach acid, and then your body can't absorb the nutrients. So across the board, we see people with low AMH and or high FSH with gut infections. And so you can eat the most pristine diet, right? We want you to do that elimination diet. You can eat the most pristine diet, but if you got an infection, you can't outrun that. You need to address it. And it's not about, and we're not opposed to you doing an anti-parasitic or an antifungal, but that's just not our first step. Again, this is on an individualized basis. And the problem with doing that approach where you're like, oh, that's easy. I'm going to take an anti-parasitic. I'm just going to get rid of that, throw on the atomic bomb and blast it out. But then you also get rid of all the good bacteria, and then it can take longer for the gut repair. So, in a short period of time, you can really heal your gut. But just if you're going in there with a stronger approach, it could take longer. So, so definitely that episode, we just break it all down. It is very detailed we get a lot of really good feedback on that episode because we just talked about every different thing from on the GI map, why this matters and why this test is so important. It's included in our fat fertile method to test the DNA of your stool. And it's not about, we see so many people going to IVF, going to PRP, doing IUIs, and then no one's worked on their health, right? And I shouldn't say you haven't worked on your health. Most people have made changes to their health. You're not going into IVF or PRP. You're not going in blind. You've already potentially read, it starts with the egg. You've made some changes, but are they generalized recommendations? And maybe you kind of gave up and went, well, I don't think this is working. I'm gonna head to IVF. And so it's really important to take a very targeted approach with this because otherwise we just second guess, what's happening. So definitely why your gut microbiome matters when you have low AMH and or high FSH before you go and spend tens of thousands of dollars on IVF. There may be a reason why the embryo is of not good quality, that it's not implanting, that maybe you're having miscarriages because you have an infection going on. So, and the health of the ovaries are highly correlated to the health of your gut. And so it's where we start with everything. It's the foundation. There's lots of studies now that are talking about the microbiome. If you have even having like conventional yogurt that's got like a probiotic. So I think we know that. So taking a probiotic can be part of it, but we have to also address infections. So that is key. And we see that across the board with people with low AMH or high FSH. I'm just thinking of one where her AMH was 0.08. She had done multiple failed IVFs, been told a poor responder. And we found out that she had like 4 parasites. So if you got a parasite, your body's like, I just need to survive. I don't want to procreate. So we addressed that. She also had non-celiac gluten sensitivity, which is a theme we see. And then within 4 months, she was pregnant naturally after, being told nothing would work. So definitely looking at the health of the gut is key. And then the next one we have is how to know if IVF is your next step when you have low AMH and or high FSH. So we are not anti-IVF. We are pro-health. It is so important. Like so many people, like we just see people that have gone to IVF and it hasn't worked. And they've been labeled a poor responder. They've had canceled cycles. We've got people doing, 20 IVFs. It's crazy as to what's going on there. Just because your insurance covers it, or maybe you have the, you have the financial means, the emotional heartache of that, and then pumping your body with that many hormones. Like we do not know the long-term side effects of this. And our thing is, if you work on so sometimes we think IVF is the fast track. The fast track is your health. So when you work on your health, you'll either get pregnant naturally, or if you do go to IVF, you're going to improve your chances of having healthy. Like we've got people, I was thinking of one lady where she had done multiple failed retrievals. Every egg came out with poor, terrible egg quality. And then she made the changes, and we found gut infections and food sensitivities, a lot of stress for her, as well as some blood sugar issues. And then she went for her next retrieval, beautiful egg quality, did a transfer, and showed me a picture of her son. So it's important to work on this first, because we just see so many people spending so much money, getting so frustrated. It can tear apart your relationship, your social circle can feel, you can feel isolated from other people. And it's, there's so many things where you can build that solid foundation, from working on the biochemical side of things, from the food, the gut, the adrenals, the thyroid piece, to the mental emotional side of this. And so, a lot of times in IVF, we're just told to keep going, keep going, keep going. Well, maybe your body is just depleted. It's been going for too long because you were stressed out from the very beginning. So something was happening before, why weren't you be able to get pregnant naturally? Something was happening there. And then we're pushing it then with medication. And we see people having, chemical pregnancies and miscarriage, like pregnancy loss. So again, not anti-IVF, pro-health. You need to take the time to focus on your health in a short period of time. It takes 90 days for the egg to renew itself, 70 to 80 days for the life cycle of the sperm. And so you need to give yourself time to, make these changes, the testing. Right now, we're just guessing. We're just guessing that February is the time for you to go and do your IVF. Or with the testing, you'll have the data. You'll have the data to be able to make the decision when it actually is time, because maybe you got a blood sugar imbalance. Maybe your thyroid is completely dysfunctional, which we see. Maybe your adrenals are so flatlined that you're just exhausted. And so you're maybe mentally, emotionally, you can feel strong, but your body is like, I don't think so. And there you're going in again to push it. And then we see it doesn't work. So, and then we want to make sure you have, a healthy pregnancy, healthy postpartum period. So I have people telling me that they were so ill in their postpartum period, they couldn't even bond with their child because of all their health issues going on. Because it just like their mood just took a complete downward spiral. So very important now. You're in a very empowering spot right now to work on your health and set up a really strong foundation for your future family. And so as we work with people, it's a monthly conversation, because it doesn't really matter if you're 28 or 48, however old you are. You wanted to have your baby yesterday when you started trying. And so it's a monthly conversation. Okay, but given the data, what we're looking at your blood count, looking at your blood work, looking at the testing, looking at the mental emotional side of things. Is your body up in fight or flight because you're kind of in that panic mode? So we can look at your adrenals and see what's happening there. When is it time for you to go in? And then you can make that decision with your care team. So with the Fat Fertile care team, you can make that decision together. You'll have the data, because right now we're just rolling the dice. We're just guessing that next month, February, or wherever, whenever you're listening to this, the next month is the time to go. And it's an expensive rolling of the dice, because it can take 3 cycles at a cost of $60,000, and it still may not work. And then your health still hasn't been addressed. So very important to listen to your body, hire the team around you, the REI, the OBGYN. In this case, we have a functional medicine OBGYN as part of our team, functional nutrition practitioners, fertility mindset coaches. The whole piece is you're in control. You're, your body best, and you bring in those people as you see fit. So a lot of the times we get the diagnosis and go whoop right over to the REI, and then they were going down the path of IVF. And so how do we then, use each person that's going to work for us, or employ each person that's, that'll work for us. And then we can, you have a more customized approach to this, rather than this factory assembly line of just rolling down IVF with all these protocols. And, there's a reason, that, all this, companies are advocating to have IVF included. Obviously, it can be very helpful for people that can't afford it, but also it's backed by big pharma. So it's just all this I'm not opposed. So we're not opposed to IVF, but it can just, we see people that it hasn't worked, and all that medication and hormones, we just don't really know the long-term side effect. Obviously, I had both my kids with donor eggs. I went through IVF, so I am not against it, but my health came to a crashing halt years later. And I know if you're dealing with premature ovarian insufficiency, diminished ovarian reserve, low AMH, and or high FSH, you could be giving low chances of it working. So it's so important to work on your health before you go. And also we work with many people with, experiencing repeat loss. They've gone down that road and they just keep having miscarriages, which is absolutely devastating for couples. Like pregnancy loss, to be able to work through that trauma as a couple, you want to come out stronger, and it can really, do a number on a relationship. So, very important to take a customized approach and really, that medical gaslighting piece where people are like, no, everything's fine. It's all normal. Well, if it was normal, you'd already be pregnant. So, it is to be able to be your own advocate, look at the numbers, look at the data, what's going on with your health, and be able to make a decision that works for you and your partner. And the next episode we have is why adrenal insufficiency can be a factor with low AMH and or high FSH. So our thesis is it actually menopause or is it your adrenals? I would literally, for myself, looking back, I'm like, no, I'm not stressed at all. Looking back, I was completely stressed. Just because mentally or emotionally, I could handle it and keep going. My body was like, I don't think so. And then eventually the mind then took a collapse as well. So it's, it's not a complete collapse, but it's, if you start, for me, it was like road rage and yelling in traffic, or I just was an asshole at some point, because my hormones were so, we're so imbalanced, and then you just feel cranky and your blood sugar's all over the place. And you're just like, I always felt very, with my shoulders to my ears and just irritated for years. And then as I balanced my hormones and really worked on gut infections and food sensitivities and the mental emotional side of things, nourished my adrenals, things came back online. So again, that thesis, is it menopause or is it your adrenals? So this episode is really important to listen to. We do a deep dive into what it could be there, but essentially, like if you're dealing with early menopause, premature ovarian insufficiency, diminished ovarian reserve, poor egg health, difficulty with sleep, PMS symptoms, acne, depression, foggy thinking, anxiety or panic attacks, weight gain, cravings for salts or sugars in the evening, dependent on caffeine, hair loss, high blood pressure, or and low blood pressure, so associated with underactive adrenals, and then high blood pressure, overly exerted adrenal function, low energy, that irritability, short temper, frequent illnesses. Yeah, I literally used to catch like every cold and flu, and then a long time recovering from illness or injury. That wasn't me, but definitely I was catching a lot of illnesses. I can't tell you how many people are like, oh, I got bronchitis, or I've got COVID again, or I've got the flu, and like constant illnesses because the immune system has been depressed. And there you are trying to sustain life, grow life in you. And the body's like, I don't think so. I need to keep you alive. So like the underlying reasons for that could be autoimmune. We see so many people with one autoimmune disease, or like, oh, by the way, Sarah, I have celiac, and plus low AMH and high FSH. Like that's a huge factor. I gotta do something about this sun on my face. Yeah, so viruses, bacterial infections, emotional stress, too much exercise, like just pounding out the exercise, doing CrossFit and not being able to stop. The food intolerances, and like we said, the microbiome or the health of the gut, and then just being exposed to toxins. So all of that can then impact your adrenals. So it's really important to be your own advocate and figure out what's being missed here, right? And so we can use testing. So obviously you can do testing with blood to check out your cortisol levels, but then also we like testing with urine to be able to check to see how your hormones are over a 24-hour period, and then you can see exactly what's happening. So yeah, that's one of my favorite episodes. And again, that thesis, is it the adrenals or is it menopause? Is it really menopause or is it your adrenals? Another one episode that I love this year was how to connect with your spirit baby when you have low AMH and or high FSH. That was with Nancy May. This just gives us some peace some peace of mind to really get us to know that, there is the universe is working in our favor. There are signs everywhere for us to notice the signs, to really tap into your own intuition. We're all psychic. We're all intuitive. We all know our body best. And our whole piece of this functional approach, our Fab Fertile method, is really to instill hope, to really know, deep in your body, some way, somehow you'll grow your family, and to have an open mind of how that's going to happen. Like, we don't want to give any false promises or sugarcoat things. Obviously, some of these, the low AMH and high FSH can be a tough diagnosis, but be able to, with the Spirit Baby episode, it was just a really good episode to be able to, that calmness, that peace, the just knowing that things will be okay. Because right now we're stuck in that uncertainty, and no one can guarantee you anything, right? There's no guarantees. People ask me, Sarah, can you guarantee me a baby? No, I won't do that. Sorry. I don't know, first of all, if you're going to even follow what it is we're asking you to do. And second of all, sometimes it doesn't work. But we have, a 10 times higher success rate than IVF. IVF will give you a 5% success rate with low AMH and high FSH, and ours is 10 times higher. So when you work on your health, then you can improve your chances of this working. So knowing that the Spirit Baby is there waiting to come in for you as you work on your health, as you get things organized. It was just a really nice episode, and people found that episode to be very helpful, just from giving them peace of mind. And so I encourage you to listen to that one. And that's that whole meditation and cultivating that stuff. It's building a muscle. It still is work, right? Like, we want you to cut out gluten and work on gut infections. The mental side of things too is each day we, if either it's gratitude or we're looking for the positives. If you're kind of prone to thinking it's all going to, fall apart, like catastrophizing, being able to notice, what's happening there, and our limiting beliefs. And do we always think, the worst? And how do we then, have we negatively hypnotized us? Sometimes people say, I knew there would be a problem. I knew it would never work. I've done this to myself. And then how do you then acknowledge that maybe that didn't even come from you? It came from your mom or your dad, your family of origin. And now how do we implant something, not about implanting some Pollyanna, fertility affirmation, but being able to visualize a positive path forward of what's going to be right for you. So I encourage you to listen to that one. Number 6 is we are going to be talking all about top fertility supplements you need to get pregnant this year. We go through the list in this podcast episode, and I also have a whole guide on that. And so the link to the guide will be in this podcast episode. And so the supplements to look at are the methylfolate prenatal, like we talked about, a men's multi, because this is not just about you making the changes. He's got to make the changes too. CoQ10, which is good for sperm and egg health. Omega, which is good for sperm and egg health and all and immunity and all functions of the body. Vitamin D3, K2, which is essential for anyone on the fertility journey. We see vitamin D in the single digits or in the teens. It should be between 60 to 80 or even higher, which is key for your for both male and female fertility, and a probiotic. And so those are the top supplements. We go into why those are needed, which ones to look for. And so definitely check out the guide, and it'll go into more detail. There's also a discount code there. So we offer all those supplements in our Fab for Life supplement store, and you use the code LAUNCH15 and then you get 15% off. So definitely to check out those. And these are the foundational supplements that you need to be looking at. And there's a lot of ones on the market right now. You really want to, these are professional grade supplements. You really want to make sure you're not spending a heap of money and they've got allergens or fillers, and you don't want to be buying anything off of Amazon because it's not vetted that is actually what it is. It's what it's saying it is as far as supplements. So really important to buy them from a practitioner. And, these are professional grade supplements, and we've work to make sure these are the best ones. So definitely check that out. And then if we were to work together, we start with these foundational supplements, and then we're going to give you a protocol based on all your testing. And then that protocol, we're going to use professional grade supplements. Because a lot of times people are like, oh, I'm taking Vitex, I'm taking Nositol, I'm taking Maca, maybe you're taking DIM, maybe you're taking like a whole host of supplements, but we're like, are they even right for you? Maybe you don't even need them. Or maybe you're attacking the wrong thing. You're not addressing, optimize or addressing what it is. So the DIY approach can only take you so far. Obviously you're listening to a podcast here, so you're looking for information. So it is to be able to, there's certain things you can do by yourself. And then as you get into protocols, you really need to have a professional that's going to, take you through that, because otherwise you're just going to spend a lot of money on supplements. Maybe you'll have expensive pee because you're not even, your body's not even utilizing them. So top fertility supplements you need to get pregnant this year. That is one of my favorite episodes. The next one you have is what mood swings, sugar cravings, poor sleep, and feeling hangry has to do with your fertility. Yes, we're talking about your blood sugar. And if it's on a roller coaster, so we want the blood sugar between 75 to 86. I see so many people, and that's mg to DL. And so we see so many people with it higher. And so it might be pre-diabetes, or they could be diabetic, or maybe they think everything's fine, but it's not. It could be normal, but not optimal. And that could be a reason for irregular cycles, absent periods, and ovulation. Like we've had people in their early to mid 40s regain their period after years with no period. As we start to work on all these different health markers, looking at your blood sugar is one of them, and then like we're looking at doing a whole deep dive into your blood chem and seeing what's being missed on that piece. So blood sugar is huge. I talk about this all the time. So many people are dealing with mood swings, sugar cravings, poor sleep, and hangry. When I ask people, they're like all four. So if that's you, that's a huge clue. That definitely was me. I was the hangry person. Like, stop the car now. I'm going to either pass out, throw up, or beat up my husband. So and he just keep driving. I'm like, I need to eat, because my blood sugar had taken a nosedive. I wasn't eating enough protein in the morning. I was starting off with a muffin. And my body was not happy about it. So now it's about, eating a diet that's right for you. And essentially in the morning, having more protein and fats. Start off with a sausage patty, or have some avocado. Definitely we've got our fertility challenges in there. So the winter one will be going now. The fertility winter challenge, all sorts of recipes in there, and really great breakfast ideas. And that can be really great for your blood sugar. And you can just make up some meat patties, the week before, pop that on. You can put some avocado on there, a little kimchi or some sauerkraut, and maybe a little arugula, put it on we do a bed of, what do we do on that one? I think there was like a little fried potato on there. So it can be delicious, as easy as that. Just whip them up and add some spices to it, and there you go. Or do a protein shake in the morning too. So that can be helpful, but more protein. So many of us are not getting enough, and then the blood sugar is off. And that may be a reason why irregular cycles, that your period's absent or you're not ovulating. So I'll dig into that. Next episode we have is the proven sleep hacks that optimize reproductive health and banish poor sleep for good. So we work with people for sleep for months. And so many of us are having a hard time falling asleep. We wake up in the middle of the night, which could be your liver issues. We wake up and we're feeling exhausted. We're not, we got FOMO, so fear of missing out. And we're up, doing a cliffhanger with our book, cliffhanger on Netflix. We're going to bed at 1 or 2 in the morning. So it's not about saying, hey, now you're going to bed at 1. I want you to start going to bed at 10. No, because that's going to be too difficult. We start to really wind that back a little bit each week, 15 minutes, and then you're going to bed earlier, and you start to prioritize sleep. So it's like, ooh, should I go to exercise class or sleep? Sleep always wins. Should I stay up late to read this book? Sleep. So this is how you're going to be able to repair your body when it's sleeping. It's in in repair mode. So anyways, in that episode, we are going into some nice ideas, some hacks then to optimize sleep. One quick one here is we love blue light blocking glasses. You put those on, they're red at sunset, and that just makes you feel that campfire effect where everything's very subdued. That's why to have those glaring lights, I think we all intuitively, or at least I think we all know to dim the lights at night. We don't want to have these bright lights on because then the body's like, ooh, I'm going to stay up all night, right? And so if you're on your laptop there with the blue light coming in, the body's like, I think it's daytime. So even just doing that, putting on your screen, putting night mode on your phone, your laptop, when you're watching TV, putting on the blue and green light blockers, and then taking the phone out the bedroom. It shouldn't be the first thing you look at and the first thing you look at before bed. Like charging it out in the hall, charging it in a different room, put a ringer on if you think you might be getting a call or something, but and using something else for an alarm. So because the interruption of that thing buzzing away, even if it's on silent mode, that the EMFs can then impact your sleep. So you don't want that by your head all night long. So those simple steps right now would be where to start. And then also if you're feeling, then you can do some magnesium before bed too. Rubbing some magnesium on your feet. That can be nice. There's a little magnesium cream from Ancient Minerals. There's a lotion and an oil. I got the oil. I meant to get the cream. I feel the oil a little messy, like it sprays, and I'm like, geez, I'm spraying my whole night table here. It's okay if you spray it into your hand, rub it on your feet, and then that just makes you go into coma land. Bye-bye. Or even having an Epsom salt bath before bed just calms it all down. So definitely check out that episode. The next one is number 9, how to address men's reproductive health. It's a myth that sperm doesn't decline with age. Yes, it does. So it's so even though we're focusing on female factor fertility issues, low AMH and our high FSH, it's equally as important to work on the male partner. So we see so many times where his semen may be normal, but is it optimal? Especially if you got miscarriage issues, we have to look at the health of the male partner, looking at the DNA fragmentation. How is his semen and how is his health? And most of the guys, there's steps we can take to, maybe, you're swapping fluids here. Maybe we often see that you both of you will have the same microbiome. And so maybe you both have H. pylori. It's transferred via saliva. Maybe you're not absorbing all your nutrients, both of you. Maybe you both have parasites. So it's important to look at the health of the male partner as well. That episode goes into a deep dive as to why you can have low sperm, low morphology, DNA fragmentation. What are some reasons why, from food sensitivities to gut infections to iron, thyroid, similar things with a female, but then specifically what we see with men. So it is essential. Like, it's not just about you making all these changes and he's over there having a beer or a pizza. So most of the men are extremely open-minded. They are ready to make the changes. And, I've done many episodes on this. Do not blame him, point fingers at him and tell him that he has to do all these changes. That'll be a recipe for disaster. He comes when he's ready. And most of the men are ready to make these changes. So have him do the elimination diet together with you. It's not just about you making the changes. It's not about you reminding him about the supplements. He's a grown man and he can, he'll make these changes as he sees fit. Most people want to focus on their health, and you both want to expand your family. You both want to, bring a child in this world. And so it's just because, he may handle it differently than you. Maybe he's not probably listen to podcasts about it. He might not be joining Facebook groups or having an anonymous Instagram profile about it. Maybe he's not even talked to any of his friends about it, but it doesn't mean he's not equally in pain. And a lot of times the men feel they need to just support the female when he is suffering. If you've experienced pregnancy loss, if you've been on this journey for years, he wants it just as much as you do. And so to be able to have, that's why we developed the coaching part of this, to really have both partners being able to give voice to this. So you can really deepen the connection you have with each other, and know that you're going to potentially grieve and heal and navigate these situations differently, and not one is not better than the other. And so, for the partner to have an open mind and really focus on all the good he is doing, because he's doing a lot of good things. And when we look for that, then typically we can kind of get off that pointing the finger thing. So, and also focus on your own health. Focus on you, and then he'll come when he's ready. But definitely things for him to do to optimize his health. The last one we have here is what anemia really means for low AMH under high FSH. So we do see a lot of people with iron deficiency, and that can be linked with amenorrhea, anovulation, poor egg health, ovulatory disorders, miscarriage. Looking at the full iron panel is key, especially if you're having, heavy bleeding. And many times this has been missed. Is it optimal? You might be told it's normal, but is it optimal? Iron and also the thyroid. Thyroid is highly connected. I've got many episodes I've done over the years all about thyroid, and that's really the adrenal impacts the thyroid, which then impacts the follicle count, your AMH and your FSH. And so with the iron being connected in there as well. So looking at that. So it's not just about taking an iron supplement. Why is it low? And that could be a reason why you're getting poor egg quality, why your period is not here, why you've had pregnancy loss. And so that episode is really a call to action, because I think this is a lot of conventional medicine will miss the boat on this and just say, hey, you're taking an iron supplement, but why is it low? And so to dig deeper. So to recap all of this, so you can go back, listen to those episodes. First, what you want to do is do the elimination diet. Do that with you and your partner. And you can use the fertility preparation bundle. We'll guide you through that. Use the code launch 15 to get 15% off. Gives you those supplements if you're in the States, and you can start that right now. So rip off the Band-Aid and get going. And then once you've eliminated the top allergens, typically we want you to keep out dairy and gluten for 60 to 90 days, and then do some testing. So the testing can really fast track this. So before you're heading out to another IVF, or maybe you're doing a PRP, like we see a lot of people canceled cycles, poor responders, IVF hasn't worked, multiple PRP done some Facebook Lives with that in my group, talking about the PRP, because everyone's like, "Ooh, I'm going to do a PRP and wake up the ovaries." But maybe you're putting in inflamed cells into the ovaries, and that's why it's not working. So people do it, and 3 to 4 months later, it's supposed to improve chances. But if the foundation is not strong, if you have a food sensitivity, if there's toxin exposure, if you've got heavy metals going on, if you've got a gut infection, if your adrenals are tanked, if you have got all this inflammation in your body, then we're going to put that into the ovaries. Is that going to work? And I see that it hasn't. I see people coming to me after 1, 2, 3 PRPs, and it varies in cost across the country from $3,000 to $8,000. And that's just, to me, throwing money in the garbage. So it's not about, again, we're not anti-IVF, we're not anti-PRP, but you can't skip the health. So when you work on your health, get yourself in the best shape, when you do decide to do the PRP, and then you wake up the ovaries, then you can have a better, you can have a better outcome. So using the testing, so you'll have the data to be able to make the decision as to when it's time to do these next invasive treatments, giving yourself hormones and medications. And so looking at a food sensitivity test, looking at the gut microbiome test. We do genetics testing too, different from what you do at your fertility clinic. It's basically looking at your gene variants, your FSH, glucose, thyroid, and more, your methylation pathways, and then how do we then customize your diet and lifestyle. And so before, like, as we said, it's can be an average of $60K. So 3 cycles so $60,000, 3 cycles for a successful IVF. That's a lot of money. And then we haven't even optimized our health. How's your postpartum? How's the health of your children? So right now you're in a very powerful spot to make changes to your health. And then if you decide to work with us on a monthly basis, we're going to review the data, and you'll make a decision as to when it's time for you to move to an IVF, to a PRP. to more of that conventional side of things. And maybe, like, as we're saying, you're ready here, you get pregnant naturally. We see it all the time. Oh, I'm pregnant. I get announcements all the time from people, like, completely shocked. What? Because we were told the only way this would ever work is IVF. Again, I feel like a broken record. We're not against IVF. It's just you've got to work on your health. If you're listening to this episode right now, this is the call to action for you to really focus on you first. Mother and, like, parent yourself first, mother and father yourself, mother and father. But you know what I mean? So mother yourself now before your baby is here. Put yourself first. Work on your health. Everything you can do to get yourself in the best shape, because when the baby comes, it gets 10 times worse, right? People tell you that, obviously, but we want your health to be in an optimal state. And so if you wanted to book a call with us, all you do is go to FabFertile, FERTILE, click on apply, book a time that works for you and your partner. We'll come up with a plan to help improve pregnancy success for you in 2024. And we can improve the chances of this working, because there's so much heartache out there with people going through this. It can be very isolating. You might not have told anyone. We're surrounded by all these, gender reveals and pregnancy announcements and baby showers. And this is a tough journey. And so to have a guide to really help you, like, you don't need to be by yourself on this. It's important to have, get a team around you. And so if you're ready to fast track it for 2024, I encourage you to go to fabfertile.com, book on apply here, and we'll come up with a plan for you. Take care. Bye.